The first season of Witch Hat Atelier is finally out, and my partner and I have been watching it together. I've been absolutely loving how whimsical and magical the whole show feels. The fantasy world is so awesome with the witch designs, and honestly, those are some of my favorite parts. Watching it got me thinking, what if I designed a witch version of my persona? So that's exactly what we're gonna do today. With that being said, let's jump into some concept sketches. You know, I've always heard people talk about Witch Hat Atelier. I hope I'm saying that right, because I've been trying to look at the Google Translate and how you pronounce it, and I'm struggling. The first season of Hat Witch Atelier.
Atelier.
Atelier. But anyways, I've been wanting to read that series for forever, but for some reason, it's just really hard for me to actually sit down and read. I have dyslexia, so that definitely doesn't help. But honestly, if anything, I've spent more time just flipping through their books to stare at the illustrations than actually reading them. But maybe I need to try giving it another shot though, because the art style is just so gorgeous. And the way they come up with their magic and their spells is just so creative. When I started looking up classic witch hats, my first idea was the cone part of the hat could actually be shaped like a giant sewing needle with the thread like wrapped all around it. And I thought that was a really fun idea. And then I immediately ran out of ideas. So the outfit, I had absolutely no clue what I was going to do. The only thing I knew for sure is that I wanted her dress to be big. In her original design, she has her heart in the middle of her chest. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep that in her witch version. Then I had one of those little weird moments where I was like, okay, the dress is kind of a half circle shape, and a heart is also kind of circular shape. What if I literally just cut an anatomical heart in half and turned that into the shape of her dress? Hear me out. By doing that, it allowed me to bring the heart motif into the design without just sticking it back on her chest again. And it also gave me an excuse to add some really fun colors to her dress. I also played around with the idea of making the heart into a shawl, but I just ended up liking the dress way more in the end. Once I finally landed on the idea, it was time for me to actually start drawing. One thing that really helps me is making a sketch first and then creating a new layer on top to draw over it. This helps me think more carefully about my line work and to be able to see the forms depending on the objects I'm drawing. This is basically the digital version of sketching something out with pencil, then lightly erasing it, and then drawing your more finalized lines on top. And if you actually struggle with understanding form, I seriously recommend you trying out a 3D program like Blender. I'm definitely not an expert by all means, but just to be able to look at simple shapes in a 3D space and look at them from different angles has helped me understand how forms wrap around each other so much better. Being able to familiarize yourself in a 3D program has been one of the biggest things that improved my drawing skills, actually. Next, I had to figure out the colors. In my persona's original design, she leans a lot towards more warm tones, which are basically my favorite colors anyway, so I definitely wanted to keep that feeling in this witch design. For the heart though, I thought it'd be kind of fun to add a little bit of a blue hint to the veins to break up all the warm colors, and obviously a sewing needle is silver. So I decided to make those accents silver instead of gold, even though I'm more of a gold person, but I do think the silver fits the design way better than gold. Once I had all my flat colors down, I threw on a multiply layer over everything to block out the shadows. At this stage, I'm really just thinking about how light wraps around each form and then mentally separating each piece of the outfit into simple shapes. So for the first pass, I leaned more towards a purple shadow on a multiply layer, and then in the deeper shadows, I pushed things more into the blue range. And then after that, it was finally time to render. For rendering, I actually switched over to Clip Studio Paint on my laptop, and I don't really do this very often because honestly it intimidates me. But I do love how the brushes feel on there. They just react way differently than they do on Procreate, and you can just get really good textures with the brushes. I feel like I have a pretty solid understanding of color, so that's usually not the part that I struggle with. My biggest struggle is rendering. Not rendering itself exactly, but like figuring out how I want my artwork to look. I never really know how much detail I want to put in or what direction I really want to take my rendering style. I love painterly artwork, but I think I have a hard time achieving it because of my drawings are so clean. I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking it. But it's definitely an area that I struggle with the most. I spent so many years trying to study form, color, lighting, and just honestly just learning how to draw that I never really spent the same amount of time figuring out what my own rendering style is or really what feels most me. So for this piece, I kept it pretty simple. I mostly just used Clip Studio Paint's default brushes, the charcoal, chalk, and pastel brushes. If I wanted a more solid opaque brush strokes, I'd grab the charcoal brush. If I wanted more softed blended transitions, I'd switch over to the pastel brush. From there, it was just really bouncing back and forth between them while thinking about the material and form that I was painting. One thing I used to struggle a lot with, losing what made the original drawing special. I render over it so much that it didn't even look like the same drawing anymore, and that was really freaking frustrating. What I really like about this piece is that I felt like I kept the original drawing, that everything that I liked was still there. It just feels more polished and refined. And honestly, that's kind of what rendering is supposed to do. So for the longest time, I could never really tell if I was making a drawing better or accidentally making it worse. So this piece felt like a little win in that regard, finally a step forward. Hopefully. And here's the final design. I'm honestly really happy how it turned out. I had a lot of fun designing her outfit, and I think all the little ideas ended up coming together really nicely. I'd love to know what you guys think, so let me know down in the comments, and who knows, maybe this inspires you to design a witch outfit for one of your OCs. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I really appreciate you being here, and until next time, may your hearts be filled with creativity and childlike wonder.